Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 13th episode of Point of View, a series of leadership discussions by Amazing Workplaces. In this series, I'm getting into a discussion with people in leadership positions from various organizations spread across India as well as across borders. The idea is to get into conversation with them, to get them to share their views about the various aspects that make organizations really amazing. The purpose is to understand what drives leaders to their own workplaces so that we can delve deeper into the corporate philosophy and share with you path-breaking ideas. Ideas that come straight from people who have gone ahead and changed their workplace to make them better, more inviting, and extremely thriving for their own people. Our guest on the show today ensures that he walks into office every day with the sole purpose of spreading smiles and having fun. He is a two-time TEDx speaker, a stage and TV host, two times Guinness record holder, and the only chief fun officer from any corporate company in India. With over 19 years of industry experience spanning key marketing roles, branding, events, and employee engagement, he innovates on path breaking ideas to create new benchmarks in employee engagement at Capgemini India. Not stopping with that, he has been instrumental in spreading smiles in the lives of million people in the last 18 years, a unique feat not many can boast of achieving. Meet Mike Murli, the Chief Fund Officer and Director Marketing at Capgemini Technology Services India. Mike dons many different avatars apart from the corporate one. As a flagship MC with over 2,500 stage shows across 18 countries, including doing stadium commentary for BCCI in the T20 Cricket World Cup in India in 2016. He also is a television host, having hosted 15 weeks of the Karnataka Spell Bee Championship, apart from a feature on the anti Naxal wing of the Indian Army. Murli has also featured in the coveted TEDx platform two times as a speaker and has been a sought after speaker in many international forums and has a personal mandate to address 15,000 students every year for the last 3 years. Mike Murli also is the founder for the longest running band in corporate India called Rubber Band and the longest running employee engagement show in a corporate called Thank God It's Monday. He also runs EFGH, Every Friend Gives Help, a not for profit NGO and a friends network that mobilizes funds and essentials whenever there is a calamity. Mike is on the advisory board of the Christ University and has featured in a lot of national and international forums to speak on the subject of happiness. Welcome, Mike. I'm so thrilled to have you on our show Point of View today.
Extremely excited, Ekta, and thank you for bringing me here. It's a pleasure, right, to talk about this journey and about fun. And great being here. And very appropriately, amazing workplaces is something that we all desire and dream. And I feel proud that I can have a part to play in creating an amazing workplace of an already amazing workplace, which is Capgemini. So happy. I heard that I'm your 13th speaker, so I hope 13 is a lucky number for you this
13,
time.
13 is a lucky number for me.
I'm hoping the same. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks, Mike, for being here. In fact, when I came across your profile on LinkedIn and I saw Chief Fund Officer and I went through your profile and all that you have been doing for the past so many years, I really, was toying on the idea of speaking to you. And when you said yes, I was extremely thrilled, and here we are today. Yeah, not much.
I'm excited about it. Well, every conversation is teaches you something, and I'm waiting to learn back from you as well, and also communicate the story to a larger audience. So I'm looking forward to that.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And thanks for helping create amazing workplaces.
My pleasure. It's indeed a boon or a blessing.
Okay, so Mike, like I just mentioned, you're the only chief fund officer from any corporate company in India. Yeah, this is the first time somebody has heard of that designation for that matter. Uh, it's a really cool sounding role. So tell us more about your role as a chief fund officer.
Well, yeah. So the role is cool. The journey is even more cooler. Today, you see a chief fun officer designation, or you see this, but the progress for this journey is the seeds that we've sown for the last 15 years with Capgemini, where every organization aspires to create a workplace that is engaging, that is fun, a culture that people belong to, a culture that people get get extremely happy being associated with, and a brand that people want to get associated with. And all of this is not an overnight work. It takes years of hard work and persistence to go from okay to good and good to great. Okay, and so the seeds were planted way back in 2005-6 when we started off this journey to create a culture of employee engagement. We started doing, it's just not about song and dance when we look at fun, etc. It's about the belief that somebody has. What Ekta believes is fun may not be what Mike believes in. And I'll tell you what is more engaging is Capgemini as a group for the last 55 years has had fun as one of the 7 core values of the group. How cool is that? Starting way back in 1950s, to have fun as one of your core value from the day you founded the company, that's actually cooler. And I'm just blessed to carry and be a flag bearer of this whole mandate and to try and spread that. As I said, every company aspires to create a very fun, cool, engaging workplace, or an amazing workplace, as we call it. At Capgemini, we've just given it a lot more importance, a lot more trust, and consolidated all of these efforts under one umbrella, where people believe that there is a concentrated, continual effort to create a culture of fun, belongingness, engagement, and excitement, where people believe in the brand. It's a great workplace to come to. And there are multiple elements that come into making this whole amazing workplace. And as a fun journey, it's just, again, I said, it's not about song and dance, but it's about different elements coming together. There's music, there's sports, there's fitness, there's passion, there's CSR. There's too many things that we actually use as tools to actually communicate this message of having fun. People ask me, what's your elevator pitch, Mike Murli, for what you do? I am in the business of creating smiles. That itself is a big boon. And there is no second line that matches this line and said, you are in the business of trying to make people smile. And that to me has been a big blessing.
Right, interesting. You said the journey started in 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when you became the chief fun officer, right?
No, so that's when I started heading employee engagement. That's when we started doing different stuffs around employee engagement. One of my favorite case studies around employee engagement started off then. I'll talk to you about it as we get along. But the seeds started sowing time and again to actually result in this bigger tree at this point in time.
Okay, interesting. So I'm also looking forward to hearing more in detail from you. So as we go by, I'm sure you'll be spilling a lot of beans over here.
Totally, of course.
Yeah. So, Mike, tell me, you have spent close to 15 years at Capgemini. What are the various factors that can make a creative millennial like you stick to a single organization for such a long span of time?
Easy question, very easy question, because it's not about giving a hungry man a fish to eat. It's about teaching him fishing so that he never stays hungry a single day. Like that, you seed the hunger that is deep within. And one of my most important expectation from a brand, the single biggest expectation for me has been freedom.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's a very offbeat guy with an offbeat mandate to try and spread fun, and chief fun officer, all of that is okay. But here's a creative millennial, as you rightly called, who's all millennials are very hungry. They're hungry for the next big move. They're hungry for what's coming in next. They're hungry for the next big thing that we can make. Hungry for learning more, traveling more, doing things much more faster. So that urge of change is a lot more. So how do you keep a millennial satiated? Is actually continually try and talk to him about his hunger and approach his hunger differently. So the biggest beauty is, I told you about the 7 values of Capgemini. One of the value is fun. Another very important value is freedom. Right? And freedom to me is the single biggest element that a creative millennial needs to try and paint his dreams big. Especially for me, when it comes to a creative profile, and every time you're evolving and trying to go to one level after the other, working on creative, crazy ideas to try and gauge a new benchmark. Freedom is very important. I've never been in an opportunity where freedom is curtailed and said, no, you are put in a box. No, this is not feasible. But never has a great idea been shelved because of money. All you take to do greatness is not money, but a great idea. And it's always been welcome, be it the management, be it the leadership. They've always welcomed new ideas, crazy ideas, and always they keep questioning, saying, what's the next big thing? So if you keep on giving fodder for that hunger and trying to see and continuously challenge and raise the bar in terms of what's next. We did one Guinness, then we did do another one, then we climbed another pedestal, then we climbed another pedestal, then COVID struck us, and COVID has been some significant progress that we made in employee engagement. That is a challenge. And today, when we started 2021, we have some absolutely amazing challenges in ahead of us that is making every day so exciting to wake up and go ahead with. So, making your next move your best move has actually been the biggest satiating factor for a millennial.
Right. And in fact, it speaks a lot about you as a person also, because you have been coming up with those ideas, every time. If you were short of ideas, I'm sure the kind of freedom that you have got to explore those ideas,
Well,
it
it's
won't
it's a
work.
combination. It's a combination where
Yeah.
you are. It's about me. It's about the organization. What I bring to the table. What the organization expects. And I want to give due credits to the leaders that I've worked with. Maybe my CEO now is Ashwin Yadi, our Chief Marketing Officer, Sarika Naik, our Human Resources Head, who is Pallavi Tyagi. They have continuously come back and raised the bar and asked me, saying, "What's next?" For example, the superwoman whom I work with, who's Sarika Naik, who's the Chief Marketing Officer of India, has always enabled us and pushed us to raise the bar, saying, what's next? Okay, you come up with this idea, this is cool, but what's cooler is what's going to come up next. So eventually, it's just not about the brand, it's about the people that you work with, because it's the people who form the brand.
Absolutely.
And always, a sign of a good leader is not to create good followers, but to create more good leaders. So my leaders have actually inspired me by giving me freedom and wings to fly high and paint my dream in a bigger canvas, that actually continuously edged me and saying my next move is going to be my best move. And the same mandate I expect from my team. I have a fairly decent team and a fairly large team, and these guys are absolutely amazing. So people say, Mike, you are a happy mascot, you are a fun-loving guy, etc. You should see the kind of people who are surrounding me. My team members, my colleagues, these are super creative guys, people who edge you and say, Mike, can we do this? Can we do that? If I think X, they think 4X and come back and say, why not that? That's the kind of energy that you want to do every day, right? Every day, you're actually thinking ahead of them to try and say, okay, they will surprise me. Let me do things to surprise them. So creatively, the rush of blood is actually making you outperform yourself. Like that, when you have great people to work with, it's just not about a single man. It's about a great set of people coming together with a larger vision. That energy is addictive. And I've believed in that positive energy that people emit. And if you surround yourself with people who are much more positive and crazy you are, then sky is the limit. And that's where we are going to it.
Right. And it's a combined effort actually. The entire culture is a combined effort. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. While we're still on the millennial subject, Mike, according to Gallup, millennials have a reputation for job hopping. Unattached to organizations and institutions, people from this generation are set to move freely from company to company, more so than any other generation we have had in the past. So they're also said to be the least engaged generation in the workplace. What are your views about this, and why do you feel millennials are so likely to move around?
Fair enough. Good point. So the millennial hunger is something that keeps changing time and again. They are well exposed to the world around us. They are much more tech savvy, and they are urged to change. And there are some people who love experiences and experiments. All right. So if you give a combination of these to the millennials, if you give them an experience to treasure and continuously allow them to experiment, I think so that will satiate their hunger continuously. That will keep them in a very excited thing. So if they spend 2 years in a role, you give them a internal job posting where in 18 months you can actually apply for a new role inside the company. So they once they spend 18 months in a project, they go and they in the 18 months they actually can undergo courses in partnership with Coursera. They can give new age ideas and become a intrapreneur, as we call it, inside with new age ideas that they can do through a portal. They learn skills, new skills, and they upskill themselves. In 18 months in a current role, they move on to another role where they can perform even more better, etc. So that they experiment. And experience is something that I bring to the table, where you give them multiple experiences to savor, life experiences. We use music as a tool for them to experience fun and happiness. And more importantly, every millennial, we're talking about gig economy, right? Where somebody is wearing a software engineer hat and then the evening goes and teaches guitar classes at a school, or somebody is a yoga teacher by the morning and a coder by the evening. So we aid and facilitate that, and we have so many of young professionals who are in the gig space where they play multiple avatars. We actually feature them and their stories of excellence in a book called Capstars, where we identify these stars. There are people who've directed movies. There are people who have represented India at a national and international level. There are life stories of people who have defeated a lot of bad negativity in their life and come up triumph. There are people who have built eco-friendly homes, award-winning photographers. So like that, you actually encourage people to follow their passion. At the same time, they become even more excited at work because you're giving them that flexibility. So that is a combination of that. And millennials experiment and experience. If you cater to both, I think so their thirst to stay longer will only increase.
So basically, it's the kind of organization that matters. If they're at the right place, the right organization, then definitely you can give them more to look forward in life, right?
Completely. So it's the kind of playing ground that you're going to give them, where they can experiment time and again and become, and also gig economy, where we proudly say, get the future you want. That's our tagline. Where we are not saying this is the future we want to offer you. We're saying you get the future that you desire. So there are plethora of opportunities for you to try, for you to wear multiple and experiment multiple, and then figure out, okay, this is where I want to be. You want to work on ML, you want to work on AI, you want to work on cloud, you want to suggest ideas and become better in this and sustainability, etc. Do that, so on and so forth.
Okay, interesting. So tell me, Mike, you have been instrumental in executing the longest running employee engagement show in corporates called Thank God It's Monday. And you've also have had two Guinness World Records by that too, by a software company. So can you take us through these amazing milestones or milestones as you like to call them, and tell us something more about these initiatives?
Okay, so you surprised me. You've done your research well. Milestones is a term that I uniquely coined, and I use it because any milestone that doesn't end in a smile is not a milestone at all. So hence, milestones should be called milestones, because if you make somebody smile, that is a milestone as well, and that's, we take it for granted. Because if I have to get you angry, Ekta, I can tell you that your hair is not looking good or your background is not looking good, and you'll get agitated. That's very easy. But if I have to make you smile and be happy, it's actually a big task. So when we're doing a big task, we actually should call it milestones, because it's an achievement by itself. Okay, and that's hence milestones. And I'll tell you some favorite case studies that you rightly asked, and thank you for posing that question. As I told you, the seeds for these have been sown very long back in Capgemini. So if I can ask you, you said about millennials, etc. What is the most boring day to come to office for any guy? What would it be?
What is the most boring? I mean, generally it would be Monday only. Yeah.
Precisely, because after a weekend and excitement, you're generally dragging yourself out of home and said, "Oh my God, it's Monday. Why should I go to work? Can my weekend extend, etc." Right? So we looked at it differently, and we began a journey called "Thank God It's Monday." This has been one of my favorite case studies, something that I was instrumental along with few others, and I've been running and championing this cause for the last 15 years. Where we said, let's make Mondays the most exciting day of the week. And every Monday, when our employees come to the cafeteria to have food, there is a band that plays live music of employees' choice Monday after Monday after Monday. Right? And the band consists of Capgemini employees. Like, I'm a trained musician, I form the band and I run the band. It's called Rubber Band. And the band consists of musicians like me who come together and play live music Monday after Monday after Monday across campuses in the country. So we use music as a tool to drive away Monday morning blues, and thousands of employees come and sit across campuses and watch Thank God It's Monday. And guess what? We've been playing non-stop music for the last 748 non-stop Mondays.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Amazing.
Right? So the whole idea, how can you use music as a tool to give employees a wow experience every Monday and try and transform life in campus using music as a tool into a lot more bubbly, exciting ones. So that's the Rubber Band, and thank God it's Monday journey. Thank God it's Monday has been happening across our campuses. Wherever you go, you'll find music happening. And we've traveled to 4 countries so far as a band. Members in the band have composed music for movies, short films, own compositions, so on and so forth. We've been winning the best band in the country at different festivals year after year after year from a corporate standpoint. So that shows the kind of importance that we levy to being this core value, and how we've converted this ideology into something bigger. And one big case study that happened a year and a half back is we completed our 650th episode of Thank God It's Monday. So we threw a challenge to our employees, and we said songs for sapling, where we said every second the Rubber Band comes and plays live music on stage, we will plant one sapling in India, right? And employees can contribute 50 rupees, and we will sing for 1 second, and we will plant a sapling on their behalf. And guess what? We started playing live music at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, and continuously went on to play live music till 12 noon on Monday afternoon, where we played live music as a band on stage for a staggering 1 lakh seconds.
Wow.
Thereby, we enabled planting 1 lakh saplings in India. WWF, World Wildlife Fund, partnered with us and said this is the single biggest initiative that is done towards, at this stretch of time, towards tree planting. And they awarded us for that instance. Many press media wrote about it, many million views on social media about this initiative. But this was done by us entirely, run by me and my team, and supported by the management full-fledged. And we performed the single largest band performance for 100,000 seconds, planting 1 lakh trees in India. So there's CSR, there's tree plantation, there's live music, there's employee engagement, all of that coming together. And this was possible only because we had invested in a journey called Thank God It's Monday and the Rubber Band. And that tells you the kind of importance and impact a music band has in things around and creating a culture. We're very, very proud of that, and that's something significant high that happens in life, and how we've used music as a tool to transform lives of people.
Right, it sounds so interesting, and it also talks about the belief of the people in the culture of the company. Because
So, who doesn't like music, Ekta? What's your favorite music form? What kind of music do you like?
that's a difficult one.
Any form? What is
I'm a very random person. So if I like the rhythm, then I listen to it. So it could be anything.
interesting? So the band also, we call ourselves Rubber Band because we stretch to play any genre, any language. So if you come around, there's English, Hindi, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil. Across languages, music will play, so that there's something for everybody. And guess what? The lockdown has been an extreme blessing, because during the lockdown, we actually got an opportunity to try and start our own internal channel, where every Monday people are sitting across different cities now and work from home, right? So they create their own music, record using wonderful softwares, and they send us video recordings. We create a video of 30 minutes as a show, and we release that show like your YouTube video. We release it internally every Monday in the afternoon at 1 o'clock. And guess what? In the last 8 months of the lockdown, digital Thank God It's Monday, our digital avatar of music, has been viewed across 245 cities and 26 countries across the globe. So our Capgemini employees, which is 250,000 people across the globe, have been viewing this from different parts of the globe and contributing themselves as well. So it's been a big opportunity for us to spread this magic globally, this Monday magic.
Interesting. And it all started here in India, right?
Absolutely. It all started in Bangalore, here in India, and then now the world is talking about it, and more will happen.
Amazing. I think there's so much to learn from here, especially for other companies as well, who want to, imbibe these things in their own culture.
Absolutely. It starts with something as small as this.
Yeah. Great way of bringing people together, actually.
So I'll take on from there and talk to you about the other 2 case studies. One is something that is right here behind me, where I told you, make your next move the best move. So continuously we've been scaling new benchmarks and new peaks as we get along in trying to create a culture of fun. How different are you? So when Capgemini acquired a company called iGate, and when both the organizations came together on day one, we said we wanted to do something crazy that the world will remember this integration for the rest of their lives. So we made 4,200 people come together. This has again been an idea that I formed, and along with my team, we implemented to success. We made 4,200 of our colleagues come together in a common ground here in Bangalore. We did a big bang employee celebration. And we made 4,200 of our colleagues come and perform the single largest Bollywood dance lesson the world has ever seen. Have you heard of a Bollywood dance featuring 10 people, 20 people, 40 people? And have you seen 4,200 people dance to a same Bollywood song the same way? So it's an incredible, magical sight. And this was judged live by the people from Guinness London. They came over to Bangalore and they judged this live. And Jan 22nd, 2016, we created this, the first Guinness record from Capgemini, and the first one around the largest Bollywood dance lesson featuring 4,200 people, and the world was watching it. Many million views on social media, etc. And the sheer joy of getting 4,200 of our colleagues inside the Guinness Book was the special moment. So that's making our next move the best move, and how a software company can actually create a Guinness, because everybody loves Bollywood, everybody loves to dance, and you do a DJ and people go crazy and all this stuff. So we used that and made them come and taught them a Bollywood dance sequence and made them all dance in a synchronized manner, and it was completely magical to watch that. So that was the first of the Guinness that we did. In 2017, Capgemini finished its 50th year of existence. So we wanted to do something special. So we made the largest online fitness lesson featuring 4,900 of our colleagues across 7 cities in India. And all of them came together at a specific time, watched a fitness video and exercised together, focusing on fitness, focusing on wellness as a way of life. And we created the second Guinness World Record on September 22nd, 2017, for the largest online fitness lesson across multiple cities. It was again judged live by the Guinness, and we created the second of the Guinness World Record then. And the only company to do 2 records in 2 years in a row and all that stuff. So the sheer joy of making 9,000 plus of our colleagues hold this Guinness certificate and keep it in their living rooms for the rest of their lives is another huge milestone that I'll take till my grave.
Truly amazing. So I'm just getting curious. What gave you the idea of doing something like this? On such a huge platform.
Freedom, my friend. Freedom. The freedom to try and paint your dreams, and the insatiable hunger that you have. If you're content with what you have, you will lose sight of what's bigger ahead of you. So to make your next move your best move is always going to be the search. We finished the 2 Guinness. We moved away from that and said, what is our next thing? We finished some incredible stuff in 2020. In spite of the lockdown, we did some of the biggest employee engagement initiatives in the country. We did that. We moved and said, what is our next move? Today, our ambition, which I can't say it aloud openly, but our ambition for the next 12, 24 months is incredible. And when that ambition is superseded by a sheer joy of spreading smiles, I think so it's a blessing that you want to do more and more and more.
Amazing, truly amazing actually listening to all this. Yeah. So Mike, we have been talking about so many of your achievements, and like I mentioned in the introduction also, you have been doing a lot of stuff. You wear multiple hats, yeah. And as a chief fund officer, as a TV and stage host, a motivational speaker, cricket commentator, you also run an NGO. How do you do this or balance between these? And where do you get the time to do everything in such a good manner actually?
Well, why restrict your passion to one thing? Okay, we spoke about gig economy, and if you're full of life, you'll find out time and ways to try and make things happen. Each one of those avatars that you speak is actually very, very close to my heart, and it actually is a part of my purpose. My work is not seen as work, because what you see as an individual is what I get. I have this very popular tagline that I put as my link status at office, which says, "My vocation is my vacation." Because when the best and the longest holiday that you've taken in life is actually packing your bags and going to work, then it's a great addiction to have. And I am very high on life, which means that you really want to make hay while the sun shine. You want to make use of this. I have a stage avatar of hosting events across the globe, so I love it, and that's why the name Mike Murli, because 3/4 of my time is spent behind the microphone, and the rest 1/4 in front of my wife. Hence, the term Mike Murli comes in terms of my passion to hold the mic and be on multiple stages, and I'll never lose that passion, because anybody calls me for anything significant, I'm there holding the mic and talking, and that's an opportunity that you never want to miss. That's the stage avatar. When you have friends and when you have 40, 50,000 friends and followers across the globe, you want I've always been thinking, how can we group them together for a common bigger need? And hence EFGH was born. Every Friend Gives Help is a not-for-profit that I run, which is unregistered, where we pool all of these friends together across the globe. And when it comes to calamity, we use all of them from across the globe to consolidate resources and supply to the place of calamity. Chennai floods, Kerala floods, Karnataka floods. We converted this whole area where I stay. I work in with the government department in Karnataka, where we use this whole clubhouse in the apartment where I stay and convert goodies and raw materials and relief materials. Hundreds of my friends come here, we repack it, and we've sent about 15 truckloads of relief across, and about many lakhs of reliefs across, which people want to come and give and repack it and send it. So it gives you a sense of peace when you actually do that using your connection. So that's the purpose of EFGH as a journey. So time is never a constraint. You have all the time in the world, because I still waste and laze a lot of time, I believe, and I have time to do a lot more. But when the whole idea is, when you're high on life, when you really want to get the best out, and when you really get excited about lot many things, and you want to make hay while the sun shines, and the sheer joy of emitting positivity and meeting new people, getting accustomed to new people, spreading new ideas, I think so all of that makes you what you are. And I am on a rush to try and do a lot more that will give me a lot more happiness, a lot more that will make me feel content about this journey and making use of where I am today, and also a lot more. The next 12 months is a lot more exciting than the last 12 months. So that addiction is very hard to resist, Ekta.
Thank you, Mike, for throwing light on this. In fact, it's very interesting. Your entire journey is very interesting, and you're not doing things, for just as a sake of hobby. Everything that you have been doing, which I have read about and which we have discussed right now, everything is very concrete, and like you mentioned, it adds to your purpose. Yeah. So, and you're giving your best to everything that you are doing in life, which is truly amazing. Actually, I'm truly astounded by your journey, frankly speaking.
Thank you, Ekta.
Your journey has been very special and unique, and the kind of profile that you have been holding is like none other. So, how does the chief fun officer feel about this, and what's your biggest driving force behind this journey?
It's a very special mention, Ekta, because you hit a right term, which is very important, right? Each one of us, you, me, our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, everybody has to have a purpose in life. A purpose cannot be running behind salary slips. A purpose cannot be earning a living, but our purpose should be earning a life. Our purpose should be something that is connected to the core of our nature. Somebody's purpose could be becoming what's Sachin Tendulkar's purpose, Virat Kohli's purpose, Saina Nehwal's purpose, and so on, right? This is sportsmen who are incredible in their field. So they have found their purpose and calling. You can't expect a Virat Kohli to go on and become a steel merchant, because his purpose is cricket and his life is around that, and he's a superstar that he deserves to be. Like that, each one of us have a purpose in life, and the search for that purpose is perpetual, which means that the journey is perpetual until you get there. I can't say that this is my purpose, but I'm extremely excited, because when I find my purpose, it has to be aligned with what I do. And I believe that my purpose is to spread happiness through the work that I do, through some of our creative ideas, through every individual that I meet in life, and sometimes what you do defines who you are. So when your only job is to actually spread smiles and create happiness, won't that rub on to the individual you are? I don't say that I don't have negativity, I don't have stress. I have all of that. I face a lot of lows. 2.5 months back, I lost my dad, and so on. But I faced a lot of lows. I still continue to, every day like every other human being. But you know what? I'm an escapist. When something negative happens, I look at the next positive thing that is there in my life. I escape to that. That positivity gives me enough belief to face this negativity better. So I believe my purpose is very unique to myself, and I believe in spreading joy, spreading happiness, because selfishly, what you sow, so you reap. So if you sow a lot of love and happiness, it's going to reap and come back to you leaps and bounds. Lastly, people ask, how does a chief fun officer feel, and what's your best, as you said, what's the biggest benefit of doing this job, right? I'm going to ask you a question. When you go to school, when you used to go to your school, and assuming you are in fourth standard, fifth standard, and it's your birthday today. What are the special things that happen, Ekta? What do you feel going to school?
Well, you've taken me to the past. So that you used to feel very excited. You are excited and you feel that all eyes are on you. Yeah. Everybody is there to greet you and to wish you. So that kind of important feeling is there. Yeah. So I think that's the
Thank
main.
you for that, because when I enter into office, when I log into my Skype, when I go and talk to employees, when I walk into office every single day of my life, I feel I'm celebrating my birthday. I feel people are looking at me, and when you're celebrating your birthday and you walk in, is there a single person who frowns at you?
No.
Everybody is smiling, saying, "That's the birthday girl, let's go and wish her." Like at any random person, whether I know him or her, whether they have an acquaintance with me or not, when they cross me, there's a smile on their face. And you know how blissful that is. There's a smile. They look at you and say, "That's the birthday boy." Or "That's Mike Murli whose spirit smiles." "Hey, Mike Murli, I heard your song, it's wonderful. Hey, I heard you speak in this forum, it's wonderful." It's not about compliments, Ekta. It's about, generally, even if a random person looks at you, they know that you're the guy who's spreading smiles and instrumental for spreading smiles. I'm not boasting about what I am. I'm actually surely very, very blessed that people look at you every single day as though it's your birthday. And I feel special because I have a big responsibility and a role to spread smiles in the lives of many 100,000 people. And I beam with pride because I wake up every morning thinking today is another day to spread smiles. Let's go there and do that, because it's an addictive habit. Who doesn't love spreading smiles? Who doesn't like to see somebody happy? Because it's going to come back to you. And Ekta is smiling and she has a great conversation at 1 p.m. today and she says, "Thank you." I feel great that I've made a difference to her life by sharing my journey. I have a personal mandate to talk to 15,000 students every year. And I do that with all my life because I believe that the younger generation in my own sphere should know that the most important value is not about learning software, is not about learning skills, is about being happy, is about chasing happiness. It's not about being slaves of salary slip. It's about finding what excites you and following that diligently. Be it your passion, be it your profession, be it loving what you do or doing what you love. It's about keeping happiness. My first TED talk was around the most important F word, which means anything and everything that we do, fun and happiness should be the central focus of what we do in life. So that to me is the journey in a nutshell, where as a chief fun officer, as Mike Murli, when everybody looks at me as though I'm celebrating my birthday every single day, that high is unmatched. And I want to live that high as long as I can. And I will continue to extend this high wherever I go and spread that joy. But the sheer blessing of seeing somebody else smile is a boon that nobody else can match it with. Whatsoever money, power, position cannot match it with. And I want to live that as long as I can. And that makes this even more unique. And that's what makes what I am doing very, very pious in nature. I call it pious because it's godly, because you're spreading smiles and creating a difference and touching somebody's life every single day. And I feel blessed to be doing that.
Thank you so much, Mike. This is really so insightful, and your whole journey, like I've been repeating it again and again. It's really very inspiring. And the way people look at millennials, I'm sure that once whoever sees this discussion that we are having today will definitely have a different mindset about millennials. Here, you as a millennial are changing the lives of so many millions of people. Yeah, it's going to make a lot of difference. It's going to make a lot of difference in the way people think. Okay, so here I would just like to ask you one more question. You have a mandate, a personal mandate of working with 15,000 students. Yeah. So, and you've been doing this for the past 3 years. Okay. Can you tell us more about this initiative? Because you have been mentioning it, time and again in the conversation also. And how do you feel that engaging with students can help change the world of work in the future?
Great point. Let me take you many years back, and I'll tell you. I'm not quoting a flaw here, Ekta, but I'm saying my ambition is, we got to teach millennials some of the most important things in life, and some of the most important things in life are not things. We got to teach them some very very while learning Java, C++ is extremely important. Learning management and business studies and economics and laws, company law is very very important. We are missing out on actually teaching them something even far more superior than all of this. Okay, let me ask you following things that you and I would have heard a million times in our life. Ekta, A for A for B for
Fun.
B for
Before bat.
C for. So my problem is this, Ekta. I won't say it as a problem. We try and identify things and say A for apple, B for ball. Why not identify it with emotions? A for affection, B for benevolence, C for care. Why not try and D for dreaming? Why not try and teach emotions at a very young age? Why not tell people the power of dreams? Why not teach kids the power of staying happy? And for me, as a personal mandate, H for happiness should be taught at a very, very young age for people across the board to try and know whether you're an engineer, an MBA from the topmost institutions, blah, blah, blah. The most important subject that has to be taught in schools and colleges is happiness, is the art of being happy, is about trying to spread joy and happiness and be content with what you are and try and focus on happiness as the single biggest element in life and not let them find their own course and make gurus and YouTube videos try and teach you happiness. But it's your own life experience that has to teach you happiness. And that to me is a personal mandate. And I started out with 15,000 people. I've been happy to cover 18,000 this year. And that will only better and better in the coming years as well. To try and go back and tell them, stop chasing salary slips. Chase happiness. Salary will automatically come.
Right. Pretty interesting. So, when you speak to the students, do they really resonate with what you are telling them?
Of course, yes, because they are well read. Millennials are well read. Millennials are well aware. Millennials they know that this is the fact, and they respond, 5 times even more better. And they instantly catch your hold and said, yes, it does make sense.
Right.
And that's the whole idea. And even if 1% of the people actually think it makes sense, I think so the job is done.
I'm so glad you have kept it as a mandate because, yes, even I agree, there's a lot of resilience which is missing in the current generation. And why is the current generation in humanity as a whole that resilience is missing? And, we it takes a situation like a pandemic to actually start talking about resilience. Otherwise, we don't really want to talk about it also. While you need it,
The
while you
biggest lesson
need
in
it
the last
day in and
8 months,
day out. Yeah.
biggest lessons in the last 8 months that we have learned is how much little do we need.
Yeah, true.
Because the fancy car that we are paying EMI is actually rusting without any dusting. Our branded suits and saris that we have bought at a hefty price is actually talking to each other in the hangar. A very expensive Rolex diamond studded watch is actually showing time to the ceiling. Eventually what matters are the people that you're staying with. It's not about the money that you accumulate in life, it's about the men and women and the memories that you accumulate. And this has to be hard fed and taught at a very very young age.
Oh, definitely. I think the pandemic has actually changed. I'll not say changed the way we think, but at least helped us look at in a different direction altogether. Yeah,
It's
it
opened
takes
our eyes. Direction matters the most.
true, absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on this platform and sharing your valuable ideas with us. And after this discussion, I actually see that you are, truly playing the role of a chief fun officer, and it's very well deserved by you. Thank you so much once again.
The chief fun officer is not a role that I play, it's who I am.
True.
So eventually, it's
It
who you
shows.
are that translates. I don't need to wear a mask and do something, and it's who I am. And I thank the organization. I thank leaders whom I work with. I thank my team who are responsible for this as much as I am. And I thank you for enabling this to communicate this story to a larger mass. And every day is a new opportunity to spread smile in whatever you're doing. You, me, all of us. And if we get that mandate, I think so we'll leave a better planet for people ahead.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mike, for whatever you are doing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Ekta. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you for having me here. And we are in the process of creating an amazing workplace, and all of these elements put together is what that determines where people come to work, and they come to work in search of a life and not just a living. So, thank you for having me here. It's been an absolute pleasure.